This is super exciting because I love we've done a few where we've had some guest hosts, and they're always way more fun than when I'm just doing them, when I'm just talking myself. And I actually was fun. It was fun for me to kind of look, obviously I know so much about you, Shana, and I've known you forever. But it was actually fun to kind of like dig into your um, resume a little bit and your history and kind of revisit that. And there's so much to talk about in terms of your background. And so, I definitely want to give your intro justice. So I'm going to let you introduce some of that as well, because I know that you will do a much better job speaking about, how you got involved in log rolling and your journey with Huntington's and everything. But I just have to say that I am, always in awe of everything you do. I mean,
Oh,
you
likewise.
have so many, things that you're working on all the time. And you also do such a great job of integrating all of your passions between, your fitness and TRX and Huntington's and log rolling, and just kind of bringing all of these worlds together, which is super impressive and fun to see. Obviously, you're an amazing log rolling competitor and have been for so many years, and to be able to sustain that energy and optimism and enthusiasm and support of other athletes, and now being a mother you've been a mother for a long time, even now competing, which has been really fun to watch. And I've learned so much from you, as an athlete and as a mom and as a competitor as well. The one thing that I didn't even realize, I mean, I knew you were a pole vaulter at Madison. I didn't realize you were the first female pole vaulter at
The
Madison.
only reason why I was able to be a pole vaulter is because nobody else would do it. So
That is crazy. I couldn't believe that there were no women up until that point. So that was the new thing. I was like, wait, I didn't know that about. I mean, I knew that you pole vaulted at Madison, but not that you were the first female. So that's super cool. And then obviously, as you guys can see here, from a professional standpoint and from fitness, Shana is a TRX master instructor, an ACE master instructor, my Fitness Pal author, and of course, a log rolling and lumberjack athlete. So let's just start out, Shana. I think you would do it better than I would, to talk about your experience of how you learned to log roll at the Madison YMCA. And then and a little bit about your fitness journey as well.
I feel like after that intro, we should just call it quits. And that was good. Thank you. Nice seeing you. No, yeah, and likewise, you've been such an inspiration on the exact same thing, how you set a goal and you go for it, and how you bring your kids to all your events, and are embracing motherhood and being a business owner and an athlete as well. So we have a pretty good crew in our log rolling community. It's a pretty badass group of women. I started log rolling when I was 7 years old. I was involved in swimming and gymnastics at the local YMCA. And just like a lot of log rollers, especially here in Wisconsin, we just started with the YMCA log rolling classes and had a lot of fun with it. And my coach at the time, John Hallett, who now is a very well-known log rolling coach, talked me into going to some competitions. And then I met your family, Abby, and I met a bunch of other amazing people and fell in love with the community, with the sport, the uniqueness of it, and was never very good at it for about 20 years. It took me to figure out how to log roll. But I just loved it. And I loved going to the competitions and being a part of it. And that's part of what we'll talk about today is how the love of something so unique and cool can be a driving motivator for your fitness. So I stuck with it, and now we own a program called Madison Log Rolling here, where we have about 300 rollers on Lake Wingra every summer here in Madison, and we do camps and classes and birthday parties and private lessons. And we also teach several different pool programs here, and that's where we use our key log is in our pool programs. And it's just been so much fun and such a rewarding part of my life. And I hope many, many more people add this to their lives, because we've gotten so much out of it, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Great. So, I mean, obviously you're an athlete, and then that you transitioned into that being your career. So if tell us a little bit about your, your sports science background and fitness, and, how did you get, or or if you could just, tell us about that journey from going from an
Yeah.
athlete to then it being your career.
Well, kind of like you said, everything in my life is kind of tied together, and it's been really fun how that's happened. When I was a kid, my dad and I were discussing what I might want to be when I grow up, and I told him how much I like sports and how much I liked log rolling and gymnastics. And he told me there was actually a job where you could help people exercise, and I thought he was kidding. And on Take Your Daughter to Work Day, he brought me to the UW kinesiology department and had me meet, and I was like a 7 or 8 year old girl, had me meet the professors at the kinesiology department. So I knew from that age that I wanted to go to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and I wanted to be in kinesiology, and I wanted to help people exercise. What I didn't know is how many opportunities would continue to open up as the fitness industry evolved. And so I went from cleaning locker rooms and working in the playroom here at this gym to directing this gym that I'm sitting at today, 25 years later, to working for the biggest fitness companies in the world, to getting a chance to write and speak and present and learn from the greatest minds in the fitness industry. And what's really fun is then we can tie it back around to the other things we love. I use all that information with the sport of log rolling, with the gymnastics girls that I coach, with the track athletes that I coach, and even through parenting and everything else I do as well.
So, log rolling is an old sport, as you know, but it is new to a lot of people. And, it's still very small. And so we haven't had maybe the attention that other sports have gotten from a kinesiology and exercise science perspective, all the studies that everyone else does in other sports. So I feel very fortunate that we at least have a professional involved in the sport, and that, like yourself, that is, that knows, firsthand about both. So if you could just talk to us today about, from your exercise science perspective, from a kinesiology perspective, what makes log rolling a good workout or a good fitness activity?
Yeah, of course. So when I speak to what we need to include in fitness, we first talk about the pillars of fitness. Speaking of, oh, you did get it. Get ready for a bunch of button pushes, Abby. This is going to be fun for you. And now I have to remember what I put on there too. But we talk about strength when we want to train for fitness. And again, this isn't just for log rolling and the benefits of log rolling. This is for everything that we want to include in our overall fitness journey. So there's strength, there's cardiovascular fitness, there is, I don't know, I need to see it. Strength, cardiovascular fitness.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay. So no, good.
Told you, you keep pushing the buttons. I know, I warned you, there's a lot of button pushing. We incorporate balance, functional movement, coordination. Then we talk about body composition, our metabolism, kind of what we're made of. And then finally, our mobility, our flexibility, our range of motion. So those are all different aspects of fitness that as a fitness professional, we touch on. And what's really cool about the sport of log rolling, more so than almost any other sport, is that it touches every single one of those aspects of fitness. Now, it's true, and I think we'll speak to this in a little bit. If you're a beginning log roller, you may not get all of these benefits right off the bat, but you will get some. However, when you become a more of a competitive log roller, then we do a deep dive into some of these. So we can start with strength. So it'll be the next slide.
Oh, shoot, I might have missed.
I know. Oh, I'm sorry. No, we'll start with cardiovascular fitness. You're good. We'll start with cardiovascular fitness because this is one of the coolest benefits of log rolling. In the world of cardiovascular fitness, we look at aerobic cardiovascular fitness. So that's where you're doing your long, slow duration training. You go for a long run, a longer bike ride. You go out cross-country skiing for quite a while, where you're utilizing oxygen. You're burning fat as your primary fuel. And then the other type of cardiovascular training we talk about is anaerobic cardiovascular training. That's where you're feeling breathless. You're working without oxygen. You're doing your sprints, running up a hill, working at a much higher intensity that you can sustain for a long period of time. Now, while many sports live in one or the other in terms of cardiovascular fitness, log rolling touches on both. Some of our log rolling matches, especially if you're rolling Abby, can go on for 10, 15 minutes. And it's true, we're kind of working in and out of that anaerobic zone as intensity changes throughout the log rolling match. However, we're spending most of our time working aerobically, making ourselves more fit, more efficient at burning fats. But then when you're having a shorter, more intense match, or things get really, really intense at different points, where there's lots of rapid direction changes, where you get on that really small log and things are happening fast and you're sucking wind and you can hear your opponent breathing hard, that's when we're challenging our anaerobic energy systems. And that's what's making you fitter, what's making you a better athlete. I won't deep dive too deep into this, but this is where you're starting to push your lactic threshold ability, and so on. And it's cool. I know, Abby, I think you were involved with that. There was that one study that University of La Crosse did about heart rates and log rolling. And
I actually have some photos of it. I'd have to.
Do you? Perfect. Because I actually sadly don't know the results of it, but I assume they, I know now you have to do lots of clicks. Oh God.
I thought I had some photos of
You're
it.
like, I'm never going to let you make a keynote again. But I assume that they found that heart rates got quite high, especially during intense parts of log rolling matches. So really that's what we're looking at. And when I help somebody program their cardiovascular plan for, let's say, the week, I want them to have some long, slower duration cardiovascular workouts, but I also want them to do something like a cycling class, or like log rolling, or sprints, or hill work, or something like that, where they're incorporating more intense interval type training. Then I think the next slide is strength.
Talk about strength, because I think I maybe missed.
That's okay. I'll talk about strength. Well, I may not have even typed it, so that could have been it as well. But when we talk about strength, we can talk about just overall force production. Now, in the sport of log rolling, you're not going to directly increase your squat or your bench press or anything like that. However, your power output, and it's a very, very symbiotic relationship, because you do need to be powerful. You do need to be able to dig your feet in the log and kick the log and change those directions rapidly. So when we talk about building strength, we're more looking in that perspective of power, kind of like your med ball training, your kettlebell training, your rapid direction changes, your ability to manipulate that log, your ability to take control of your opponent, pull them in the direction you want, push them in the direction you want, even if you're a smaller athlete. So you're going to gain some strength from that. And obviously strength and power will also benefit you as a log rolling athlete. And then the next one is probably the most obvious. Now we're looking at balance and coordination. I think that's the first thing everybody thinks of when they see the sport of log rolling is either A, I don't have enough balance, or B, wow, that could really help me improve my balance. One thing a lot of people leave out of their overall fitness routines is that focus on balance, coordination, agility. And I think on here we also have like reaction time is part of that, your ability to respond to an outside stimulus, and your overall body awareness, your awareness of where you are in space. And again, in the gym, we throw things at you like BOSU balls, like the TRX suspension trainer, balance pads, all that stuff. But why not make it more fun and more functional and stand on a spinning log in the water and force your body to adapt really quick? So again, it's not just balance, but it's also your ability to coordinate your whole body movement. When you learn how to log roll, and I assume all of you guys have done it, it's not just balancing on one foot. It's where your arm is positioned, where your middle is positioned, where your center of gravity is positioned, and how taking a step in this direction affects where your body is. And that becomes full body coordination. You have to react to what the log is doing, and you have to react to what your opponent is doing to the log. So think of like a football combine or something like that, where you're doing your cone drills, using those reactivity balls, doing a start for a 100-meter dash. You have to be able to improve that reaction time to react again to what the log's doing, and then in competition to your opponents. And then that all ties together into overall body awareness. And
I'm going to stop you really briefly about this.
Do it.
Because I read a really interesting article in the Washington Post about perturbation exercises.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was so fascinating. And especially as you age, how important they are. of, doing activities where you're sort of thrown off and then where you're falling and then you have to catch
Mhm.
yourself. And I was like, that's
Yes.
log rolling, where you're falling and then you catch yourself and you don't always know when it's going to happen. And that just that obviously there's a whole range of it from, people doing it just your standard active person, and as you age and how that helps you, but then also like at an elite level, how those exercises change and like how you modify them. But that, in terms of rehab as well, like for
Mhm.
ACL rehabs, that those kind of exercises are really important. And I just even remember like with when my sisters tore their ACLs, their physical therapists, they were able to start log rolling like much sooner than they were able to do
Mhm.
other sports
Yeah,
because
we'll definitely
in
touch on that because I think that's one thing we
the
definitely.
and so yeah, I think that is this balance and coordination is something that tends that we leave out of, or it's maybe just harder to find or to do in your overall, when you think of like all the different things that, and log rolling is a really fun way to do that, which is cool.
Well, exactly what you said. So, to be quite honest, as much as I program balance work into my clients' conditioning training plans, that's usually what they skip because they don't enjoy just standing there on one foot doing different perturbation type activities. Or on land, what we'll do exactly like you said, perturbation training. We do stuff where they'll hold on to a resistance band in a strong active plank and I'll pull the band in different directions or actually literally twang the band and they have to try to stay stable. And we'll chat about that in just a minute when we talk about overall stability. But exactly, so it's much better to find something that's fun and you actually want to go do, that will help your balance. And the cool thing about balance and coordination and all of this stuff in this slide right here is this is what it's all important. It's all important for everything. But this is what you need for your entire life. This is what you need to be able to stay mobile, to be able to continue doing the activities that you love. More and more now, I'm getting people that come in and they just want to be able to get up and down off the ground safely to play with their grandkids and not feel like they're going to fall down the stairs every time they use the stairs. And I'm not saying we're going to put our 90-year-olds into log rolling lessons, but by starting now and starting earlier, this will give you the coordination and body awareness that you need to be able to do that stuff for the rest of your life in a much more fun way than standing on one foot in the gym watching yourself in the mirror. And then the next one, body comp. So this is basically is your overall metabolism, your ability to burn calories, and really it just comes down to the more active you are, the more calories you burn, the more you challenge yourself anaerobically, the fitter you are, the more active your metabolism is throughout the day. The more active you are, the more muscle you have on your body, the more your metabolism works throughout the day, and that overall forms you into the shape of an athlete. I rarely work on specific weight loss with my clients. Instead, we train them as athletes and we set athletic goals. And what's really awesome is when you have an athletic goal, then your body composition will follow. I doubt this maybe goes for Abby and some of the other log rollers because you guys are just rock stars. But I can tell you when I'm not in competition season during the summer and maybe don't have as much of a drive and as an athletic goal, my body composition definitely changes. And but it's fun because then you have that goal, you have that motivator, and you actually look like an athlete when you train like an athlete. And then finally, although it doesn't seem like we would directly challenge mobility and flexibility in log rolling, and it's true. I mean, obviously, we do our mobility work off the log and our stretches and everything off the log. A key factor of mobility, which means being able to move your joints to the appropriate range of motion, is core stiffness or core stability. And I know in the last 5-10 years, that's all you've heard about in the news and the media and through training is the importance of core strength, because we're learning more and more every day about the importance of the ability to have a strong, stiff core, and what that means not only for athletics but for longevity. And that goes back to your perturbation training. really what we do is we teach people how to have a strong, stiff core and set their active plank and then move things around them, and have them challenged, kind of like the active falling, or having to complete tasks with that strong core. So think of a simple push up. Really what that is a strong core, but then moving your body, changing what that plank is, changing the condition of the plank. And it's the same thing with log rolling. And it's funny because we've been touting the benefits of core strength of log rolling for many, many years. And Abby, I don't know how soon you started log rolling after your littles were born, but I tried getting on the log probably about 2 weeks, a week after, 2 weeks after, just to like, Peter took my son and he's like, just go be on a log, just go do something outside. I couldn't stand on the thing.
It was crazy. I've been log rolling since I can remember, since before, as soon as I could walk. And I was so surprised at
I
how crazy it felt when you
I
lose
couldn't
control.
connect my movements here to my legs because this
No
was all
core.
stretched out and the core strength wasn't there. And it was like this light bulb. I've been talking about this forever. It's like, wow, this really is extremely important because now that this isn't working, I can't do this thing. And that made me realize how much of our core strength is involved in movement and in life, but definitely in log rolling. So our overall ability to be stiff in the middle, to have that core and joint stability, will help our mobility and our flexibility. And then actually that laces over into our ability to move well. Thus we can get stronger. We'll have better coordination, better balance, and so on. So it's really cool how it's all connected.
Great.
And then, yeah, the last super cheesy part. You ready for this? All right. So the overall secret of fitness, and it's actually really cool how log rolling or whatever sport you love is that, first of all, is finding something that you enjoy, something that's fun, something that makes you smile, something that doesn't feel like exercise. And for every log roller I've ever had, it's that. I mean, they will be completely sucking wind, but want to jump back on the log because they want to try to get a better time, or they want to roll again. And they just keep going and going and going. So much different than, again, no offense to people who do love running, but it's a lot different than just saying, all right, now I got to go out for a run, because you're literally laughing the entire time. The other secret, the next secret is consistency. So finding something that you will actually continue doing, not, this 30-day challenge here, this 6-week fat blast here. It's something that maybe you go to log rolling class every single week because you look forward to that group of people, because it's something you want to do, or maybe you've signed up for a competition and so you want to make sure you keep going so you're ready for that. That's why the world of CrossFit is so popular, because they've formed a community, and around that community they build the importance of consistency, of continuing to come back. And finally is something that I love talking about. I stole from one of my favorite authors. It's something called kedging, and that's from the world of sailing. If your ship kind of goes off track, it's a way that they use the anchor to pull themselves back on track. So we talk about creating kedging vacations or kedging athletic events, where it's something that you schedule that makes you pull yourself back on track. And that's what I see log rolling competitions. I know through Key Log Rolling, there's so many competitions being formed at colleges and recreational facilities everywhere. Going out of your comfort zone and signing up for a log rolling competition to give you that motivation to be consistent with your regular workouts and pull yourself back on that path to fitness, because it's something you're really looking forward to doing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. That's really, that for sure for me. It's log rolling season and cross country, the Berkey.
Yeah, see, I need to get a winter sport. Yeah, that's my problem.
Yeah, and I think the fun thing about log rolling too, now that people, with the key log and the training fins, as adults learn that, signing up for a tournament as a beginner, like beginners can compete in log rolling. We do these like pop-up log rolling tournaments at breweries and stuff. Maybe not that that's necessarily a fitness thing, but
Totally is.
but to get yourself, even as a beginner, it's really fun to compete. And so you don't need to have been like a log roller your entire life to, start to sign up for things and think about it as, as a hedging event in your life. That's really cool. So I just have a few different like things that I want to get your perspective on. So if in like an intermediate or beginner log roller wanted to incorporate log rolling into their fitness regimen, what advice do you give to them, or what does that look like in terms of how many times a week? Or I don't know, people always kind of want to know like how
Yeah,
long do I have to
absolutely. But then again, I'm sure you are just as, if not more so qualified to answer this one as I am. But the more you do it, the more you're going to get out of it. Just like an elite level log roller, the more they practice, the better they're going to do in competition. It's definitely the amount of time you put in, the better you're going to be. I would always recommend at least once a week so you don't totally forget how to do it. But depending on how fast you want to improve, more would be better. And I don't really have a great answer because there's no right answer to that one. But again, going back to consistency, and if it's something you want to get good at, you just keep doing it. And even if you're the most beginner, if you feel like you're the most uncoordinated person on the planet, you will get better. And that's my favorite thing about log rolling is you see the results immediately,
yeah,
and you can actually like chart your results simply by, wow, the first day I couldn't even step on. Second day I was on there 2 seconds. Third day I made 4 seconds. 2 months later I was on that log for a minute. So versus other types of fitness activities where you're like, well, the Zumba class felt a little better. Maybe I'm getting better at it. But this one, you're actually seeing that progress, which is super motivating. And so again, to give you not a very straight answer, the more you do it, the quicker you're going to see those results. So if it's something you love, try to do it as many times a week as you can. Hopefully your facilities offer it lots of times a week. Unfortunately, here we only offer it once a week, but.
So respond to someone who might say like, okay, there's no way I can even stay on a floating log, let alone the 30 seconds. Like, how am I supposed to get a workout in if you can't stand? So talk a little bit of like, from your perspective, as a really beginner, what's going on for them? Like, how are they, even if they're falling off after 4 seconds, 5 seconds, like tell them that there is still a workout happening.
Yeah. So the number one thing is, so we have done, and it's gotten so much more popular. We do a ton of private lessons for tourists that come to Madison, and it's like become this really fun. So we get all these people from all over who just take a private lesson. And the two most common things they all say, the first thing they say is, wow, this is much harder than I thought it was going to be. But then the second thing they say is, this is so much more of a workout than I thought it was going to be. The neat thing is, even when you first start log rolling, just because you're not on the log for 30 seconds or a minute or having a match against somebody else that's really active and crazy, you still have to get on that log. And in fact, you're using more muscles than somebody who's an experienced log roller, because your body is kind of checking in and squeezing everything because it's not really sure what it needs to engage to balance. You're getting more benefit of the balance in the beginning because your brain is having to learn so much just to keep you stable and on that log. So just because you're not on there for a long, long time, maybe you're not getting that long, slow duration aerobic cardio benefit, you're still getting that anaerobic cardio benefit, your strength. You've got to step on and off that log. You've got to climb on, your balance, your coordination. You're getting so much even just by getting on, falling off, getting on, falling off that log.
Yeah, I think, and that was really kind of the results of that. The student that did the study that was published by the American Council of Exercise, that they found that beginner log rollers with the 3 training fins on the key log were getting as much out of it as elite level log rollers without the training fins. So
Nice.
like they were still, their heart rates are up, they were still getting quite a bit of out of it, because like you said, you're working that balance component is really coming into play, and you're definitely working hard.
And I forgot to even mention the training fins. With 3 training fins on there, any beginner can feel really successful, which is so cool. It was such a cool advancement in the sport. And yeah, I don't know why it took so long for it to finally come about, but it's just brilliant. With those fins, somebody can actually have the chance to recover and not feel like it's step fall.
Totally. Yeah. It's been really cool to see. I mean, I think just for my own family, it's been fun to see. I mean, really was my dad, because he learned as an adult and he was like, this is so hard. And
Mhm.
it's been so fun to see him, in his mid 60s now think about log. He would have never thought about coming down to log roll with us when we were kids, because he was like, I just can't do it. But now he's getting a workout out of it. We're able to log roll together. And, again, as he ages, like this is is a nice thing for him. It's low impact.
And a few more fins for my dad to try.
But then my husband too, he's an elite athlete, college athlete.
Well, he's in a league of his own in terms of athletes, though.
Other high level athletes that want to get into log rolling that are like, there is like, he
It's an
was
attainable goal now. Yeah.
so much faster and than he would have been if we didn't have the training fins, because he was able to, just slow it down enough and figure it out. And then you start to just take them off. And so I think okay, he's a good but there are a lot of better athletes out there than he is. So we could bring them all in. So let's talk a little, okay. I'd love to hear your perspective, in terms of,